guys, he's here. I promised you he would be. Daisy is on vacation this week with her family in Hawaii, where they are unfortunately not getting any sun. But hopefully, fingers crossed, they will sometime later this week. And in her place, we have from 93 WIBC, my old stomping grounds, Jason Hammer from the Hammer and Nigel Show. So happy to have you here this week, Jason. Thank you.
You should have told anybody that Daisy was going on vacation and just had my ugly ass show up the next day. And I'll just tell everybody I'm trans Daisy. I want to go play some girls sports right now. Who's up for a little volleyball? Let's go.
Well, I wanted to promote you. I wanted to have time for people to get excited, right? Couldn't just spring you on everybody. So for some folks in our audience, I know already know Jason, and then the rest of you, you're going to get to know him this week, and it's going to be a blast, I can assure you. And Jason actually told me pre-show that the Oscars happened last night. I was utterly unaware until like a half an hour ago that anything happened with the Oscars. But apparently, was it Kimmel that hosted?
No, it was Conan O'Brien that hosted.
Okay.
And I guess he wasn't too bad. You know, he made a reference to nobody being arrested in the Epstein files or whatnot. Now, full transparency, I didn't watch it either. I was watching baseball, March Madness brackets. The only reason I knew the Oscars were last night, I was sitting on the can and eye rolling and scrolling. I was like, oh, look, there's Conan O'Brien. But Jimmy Kimmel was one of the presenters. And super butthurt that he wasn't the host. You could tell that already. Just completely ticked off he wasn't the host. And then he makes this rant on stage about how, you know, the United States is against free speech and kind of rips on CBS, gives CBS a little shot here. Now, look, I don't claim to be a rocket scientist, Mock. I think you know this, Mock Levin, which we'll get into here in just a little bit. But if you've got the green light to wear a tuxedo on national television and then talk about how you don't have free speech, right. Like, I don't feel like you're as oppressed as you think you are when you could go on one of the major networks and do free speech. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh my gosh. I mean, they're just so insufferable. These elitist jerks. I did hear on the news this morning that it's the lowest rating Oscars like ever or whatever, because it used to get back in the day when I used to be all into it and I knew all of the movie stars that were getting nominated for stuff. I saw a list and I was like, I don't know any of these people. But it used to get like 45 million views. And now for it to get only 18, I mean, that's still a lot of people, obviously, 18 million. But that's a big, big drop. And I think it's because everybody already knows everything about the celebrities that they're into because they follow them on Instagram or they, you know what I mean? Like, we know everything. There's no mystique anymore about the Oscars. And so people are just like, I don't care.
What's that? And it's the lectures, right? It's the lectures. Nobody wants to sit down with their family, turn on television, and see a bunch of millionaires with personal security, living in a gated community, talking about how awful they have it, how awful the United States is. Like, look, we got our faults, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But in this country, Leonardo DiCaprio, dude, you're living the life. You're banging young chicks. You're a millionaire. No, but he's one of them that usually does.
Well, yeah.
His movie, I think, was the big winner last night, so I bring up Leo. But, I mean, tell me how impressed we are. Michael B. Jordan, who's like the best-looking guy alive, wins Best Actor, but yet all of these Hollywood elitists want to tell us how oppressed we are. And lastly, on this thing, before we move on to more important stuff, my favorite thing about the Oscars, and again, I didn't see any of these movies. I'm not a movie guy. If it didn't come out from like 1989 on, I probably haven't seen it. I grew up watching the raunchy sex comedies like Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds and all that kind of stuff. But my favorite thing about this movie, Sinners, is that the co-star is Haley Steinfeld. She was in one of the Pitch Perfect movies, whatever. Her husband is Josh Allen, who's the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. And this is how much I love dudes, being a dude. Rivals of Josh on the New York Jets were going to the movie theater, sneaking in phones and recording the very graphic sex scene of Josh Allen's wife getting the hibbity-dibbity done to her by Michael B. and using it as trash talk in NFL games.
Oh my God.
God, I love dudes. We're awesome.
And I love dudes, and you are awesome. That is exactly that. That's a dude thing to do right there. That is like as dude as you can get. I love it. I absolutely love it. Before we move on to like things and stuff and news and all those important things, I do want to remind everybody how important it is to have a disaster recovery plan. And part of the plan is not just bottled water, you guys. It is emergency food, and you can stock up on emergency food with ReadyWise. It's readywise.com. If you use code CHICKS10, you will get 10% off even on sale items. And I know too that if you're a big camper, it's super handy if you want easy to prepare food that, you know, on the road or on a boat trip, for example, or just on any campgrounds. But they also have the survival gear that's really, really important for camping too. I saw, and for home, they have, you can get one of those, it's not like a rain collector, but it's a 55-gallon drum for water. So for like bathing or washing or whatever, it's not just bottled water that you need to drink, but you got to think about water, just having clean water in an emergency. They have that. And they also have this really cool gadget that is like part flashlight, but also part windshield breaker. Like if you were, you know, if you had your car get into the water somehow and you need to bust open the windshield, it's also got a phone charger that's like one of the manual cranky ones. And it also has red alert flashers, like all in one handheld tool. So it's really, really cool. They've got all kinds of survival gear in addition to their yummy food. So again, you want to check it out at readywise.com. And again, use code CHICKS10 to get 10% off. It's a pretty good deal, you guys.
Can I see that manual hand cranky thing again? Because it looks like the double Dutch bus dance that I see all over social media right now.
You're welcome. All right, let's get into some news. There's all the stuff going on in Iran, and we'll get to that. But also, there's been chitter chatter, of course, among Trump and members of his administration about what to do with Cuba. And now there's all kinds of talk like, is Trump going to overthrow the leadership of Cuba? What's happening with Cuba? Obviously, Marco Rubio is heavily involved with all of that. But just to remind everybody about how consistent Trump has been across his entire life about Iran. We've shown clips of him being very consistent about that from way back when. But now there's this video from the year 2000 where he even talks about Cuba and hints about maybe being president someday.
Thank you very much. I've had a lot of offers, and sadly, it's all been very recently to go into Cuba on deals, business deals, real estate and other deals. And I've rejected them on the basis that I will go when Cuba's free. And it's inconceivable to me when I see the weak stance taken by our current administration, especially with the spirit in this room, because the spirit of the Cuban people is beyond any spirit that I've seen by any people, and I've been watching it for a long time. The point is that things can turn around, and they can turn around very rapidly. I believe that you will have victory. I believe you'll have victory sooner rather than later. And you will win. You are going to win. And I'm going to be down here and I'm going to watch you win. I don't know what capacity I'll be. I'll either be the greatest developer in the country or the greatest president that you've had in a long time. I'm not sure.
Isn't that wild that he was talking about it way back then?
The internet has been a good friend of Donald Trump, because when you think about all the criticisms that the guy gets, he's racist, he's this, he's that. You could go back and find a clip that argues every single thing that's said against him.
Yep.
Now, on the subject of Cuba itself, I'm looking at this from two ways, and let me know if you think I'm right or wrong here. I think there's a military side, which, yes, I think the United States can walk and chew gum at the same time. You could probably do Iran and Cuba at the same time. The same people freaking out were the ones that said Venezuela was going to lead to World War III, which has not happened. But there's also the political side. And this is where I get a little sideways, because as you get closer to the midterm elections here, as gas prices are still a little on the squirrely side. We're told that it's temporary, but I was also told 2 weeks to flatten the curve with COVID. The gas prices are a little squirrely. And are you really wanting to get into another conflict? You were the peace president, not my words. Those were your words. You're trying to create peace, and I get that. But the narrative by about 90% of the national media, which is very liberal, at least 90%, is going to be you're getting us into one conflict after another. Unfortunately, when you start seeing these dignified transfers happen, which break my heart every time I sit down and watch one of these, where the soldiers are coming home and the casket is draped with the American flag, it's hard to sell the public on another military conflict, if that makes sense.
Totally. I mean, I completely get it. And there's there can definitely be too much of a good thing. Not that anything that you've just described was good, but there was some imminent danger with not going after Iran when we did, obviously, because they were really, really cooking up their nuclear program, or even if they were stalled on that because of the strikes that we did back last summer, they were still building up their weapons and missiles capabilities in order to prevent anybody from getting to their progress on the nuclear program. So there was no avoiding that. And that actually has the potential to literally change the course of the world when it comes to the Middle East. And with Cuba, it seems like maybe can we just take a beat? Do we need to rush into doing anything with Cuba? Because it seems like we have a lot going on right now. And I don't know that there's as imminent of an issue. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, Trump has reasons and rationale for doing the things that he does when he does them. But it does seem like it's an awful lot, especially ahead of the midterms, to your point.
Yeah. And it's a political game. Let's not act like it's not. And when you look at the list of your major news outlets, how many are Trump friendly or conservative friendly? How many are going to make up bullcrap? I still say it's about 90%. So you better be ready. And you know what? The people of these countries had better be ready. We had a conversation with Senator Jim Banks of Indiana on my radio show last week. And he said, as dominant as the United States military is, and he's a guy that's been in the military, he's on the Armed Forces Committee, you need the Iranian people to get back to their uprising ways.
Yeah.
Because without that, this whole thing is going to drag on and on and on. And I get you don't want to have them out on the streets when bombs are falling down right now, but you're going to need that go-to spirit that they had before all of this took place for this to be worthwhile. And I'm starting to get a little concerned that we haven't seen as much hoorah, if you will, from the Iranian people.
I think that that's probably true, but I also think it has something to do with their lack of internet and just the lack of internet in general, that we're not seeing as many of the videos coming from inside the country as we were. And we actually have a clip about that later, because it's like the Iranian defense minister or foreign minister, I forget his actual title. He was talking to Margaret Brennan over the weekend, and she asked him directly about the internet, and his answer was so utterly ridiculous. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But first, I want to play a video of JD Vance, because he was asked about, there's been questions like he wasn't in the Situation Room when this all went down initially. And so people have been like, because he's not been in the forefront as much as Marco has on the Iranian strikes. He's absolutely talked out, spoken out in support of what the administration is doing as a whole, but he's not been quite as outward as he might otherwise be. And so there were reporters asking him about his advice, his counsel to the president. And, JD knows how to set the press straight. And that's exactly what he did right here.
What did you advise the president initially as he considered his actions in Iran, and what are you urging him to do now, especially with Americans seeing higher prices at the pump and some of the fallout from that across the economy? Do you express any concerns like those you've expressed in the past on the possibility of these extended wars?
Well, Bill, I appreciate the question. I know you guys have to ask it, but imagine the situation. We're in the Situation Room where you can't even take your iPod in there, or your AirPods, I guess what they're called. You can't take your iPhone in there. You can't take anything in there because it is the most classified space anywhere in the world. And I sit there with Pete Hegseth and General Kane and Marco Rubio and the entire White House team, and the president and I and the entire senior team are talking about the options and about what we need to do and about how we must best protect the American people, I hate to disappoint you, but I'm not going to show up here and in front of God and everybody else tell you exactly what I said in that classified room, partially because I don't want to go to prison, and partially because I think it's important for the President of the United States to be able to talk to his advisors without those advisors running their mouth to the American media.
Where are you on the whole 2028? Is it going to be JD? Is it going to be Marco? Do you have a favorite?
Look, I say let it play out. Now, those who know me know I'm a gambling degenerate. Like, I will bet on two fat guys playing catch outside of my house. I love this time of year. It's March Madness type of year. So I'm here for it. I still think JD is probably the front runner here. But Marco's closing in. He is. And if Marco wanted to run himself and say, hey, let's let the voters decide here. Let's have a primary. Let's have a process. I'm good with that, too. I really am.
Do you believe him when he's go ahead?
I was saying, once you get them on a debate stage, though, I think JD is better than Marco on a debate stage. Marco can be a little rattled once you get him up there on that debate stage. We saw that back when he was trying to run for president, what was it, 16 against Trump. Now, he's grown up a lot since then, but Trump called him Little Marco, and like it broke him. Like he tried.
Well, it was Chris Christie that really broke him. I mean, that was a disaster.
I don't think he's going to try to go, toe for toe with the insults anymore, but JD Vance is always the smartest guy in the room, the coolest guy in the room. And as somebody pointed out in your chat here, the dude's lost a ton of weight. Like, he's not the fat, curly-headed meme anymore. JD Vance is slimmed down. And as weird as it is, picking the presidents become American Idol, where you have to actually look the part a little bit or be so over-the-top charismatic that you've got a catchphrase or something like that. I don't think he's got the catchphrase, but he's starting to look the part.
Do you believe Marco? Because, Marco's been asked about this before, and he's always said, if JD runs, I'm not running. Like, I'm not going to do it. JD is the guy. And if JD wants this, then it's kind of like he's not going to get in the way of that. Do you believe him, or do you think that could actually change?
I can't remember if it was Thomas Jefferson or Ron Burgundy who once said, and I quote, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. No.
Really?
If you've got a window of opportunity, you got to run with it, right?
Because they're best friends. They're like this.
Was a dumpster, but DeSantis thought he had a window of opportunity and he ran with it, try to go against, Trump. So yeah, of course you've got to, if you think you've got the opportunity. There might not be another next time. Like Bernie Sanders, you bowed out twice. You've had your opportunities now. Yeah. Sorry, there's not going to be any more. The party's become too radical for Bernie now. It's passed him by. You don't want to miss that opportunity, Marco. I'm telling you, if you think you got a shot, you got to go for it.
Do you think he would run on a ticket with JD? Or would that be beneath him? Because honestly, VPs are not nearly as important as, Secretary of State.
I think he would. It'd be a lot less responsibility, which I think Marco would welcome at this point. Because, again, go back to the internet, my favorite memes that are out there, anytime there's a job opening of any kind, there's Marco Rubio slumped over in the chair and somebody's done Photoshop on him and he's taking over that job. I've seen Marco Rubio be everything from the Oscars host to the new head coach of like the New York Jets and everything in between.
I know those memes are amazing, but maybe he could be VP / Secretary of State. I mean, he's already used to having a million jobs, right?
Right.
Well, like, why not? Why can't he just do both? Especially because VP is just, come on. Right. What do you really do?
Let me ask you this, and this is a debate we've had. Who do you think has been the most valuable team member of Trump's core? I don't want to say administration, because some of these guys don't count as administration. Is it Marco Rubio or is it Tom Homan? You can only pick one. Who's delivered more? Who has been more of a home run hire? Marco Rubio or Tom Homan?
Gosh, that's so tough because,
YouTube chat, jump in the mix here, get in the mix here.
Yeah, I would be curious most people are saying Marco, and that was where I was leaning to. Not that I don't love Tom Homan, because boy, do I ever. But like when you think about who is shaping potentially the world, it's got to be Marco. But that, again, I'm not taking anything away from Tom Homan, but I do think Marco has been stellar, like beyond stellar. Most of the cabinet has been, really, you know?
Homan is your America first guy, right?
Right.
Homan's the dude you bring in to fix the mistakes that Kristi Noem has made. Like we saw that in Minnesota when people were getting shot and hell was breaking loose and the narrative was going against, you know, everything the Trump administration wanted to do with immigration. You bring in the closer. And that's who Tom Homan is. He's Ricky Vaughn walking out of the bullpen in Major League with the skull, you know, crossbone glasses on. And the fact that he doesn't give two craps. He's got such a zero tolerance for BS. Like, if you're an America first person, I lean toward Tom Homan because I do think the border was the biggest issue for Trump winning that election in a landslide. And Tom Homan's been the guy. Zero apologies, zero blanks given, America first. And when he walked out of that courtroom, I think it was in New York, eating that apple, just smiling at all the haters
love that.
and waving.
Oh my God.
Inject that into my veins. Let's go.
I know, right? Oh my God, he's such a badass. I mean, you talked about just like real dudes earlier. You don't get more real dude than that. You just don't. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I hate to even choose between the two because both of them are so effective at what they're supposed to be doing. And by the way, you know what else is effective at helping people lose weight is lean. So if you are a person who wants to lose meaningful weight, but you don't want to go like all the way to the injections, and I don't blame you because they are scary. Anything that's like needle related is terrifying. This might be an option for you. This is made by the same folks who give us Field of Greens. This is from Brickhouse Nutrition. And it's really good. The way that it helps you lose weight is it helps you maintain healthy blood sugar. It helps you control your appetite and your cravings. And it helps burn fat by converting it to energy. And all that fat burning helps keep your weight off. And it's slow and steady. You're not going to like lose 15 pounds in a week, but you're going to notice that you're going to have less of that food noise. And that's, I think, why a lot of people in our audience have told us that they've had huge, huge success with lean. You can get 20% off when you go to takelean.com. And of course, you use code CHICKS. That's takelean.com and use code CHICKS.
Can we talk about weight loss for just a second? Because I got a problem with you. I got beef with you, Mock.
What?
You posted a photo of me the other day. It is me hugging you when you were still working at my radio station in Indianapolis. And that's when I was at my absolute fattest point. I was probably every bit of 270 pounds there. Like you could just see the gravy oozing out of my face. Like I was Fatty McButterpants, and of all the pictures we have, of all the
that's
ones,
the last one. I used it because it's the most recent. It was like that was my last day, and so I used the most recent photo. That's the only reason, because I was like, well, I haven't seen him in person in like 4 years, and so I have to just pick the one that's the most recent.
You went and searched for Fatty McButterpants on Google. That was the picture, and that was the one you chose. That's the ultimate chick move. You find the ugly friend, and you put them in the picture with you.
That is fake news. All of this.
That's exactly what you did.
Fake news. Do not listen to
middle
that.
School, chicks do it in high school, and you're doing it now. You find the ugly friend, you get the picture, then everybody says, oh, Mock, you look amazing. Well, yeah, you're hugging the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That's why.
These are all lies. You sit on a throne of lies. And speaking of lies, Pete Hegseth, oh my gosh, did he ever go after the press for their lies? You guys, this, like you said earlier, you wanted something injected into your veins. This is it for me.
Because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard. It's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump. Because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented him isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful. How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours? Has MSNBC done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it 2 or 3 times so that American people understand? How about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery? Or how hard it is to refuel midair? Giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that, because of the hatred of this press corps, are undermined because your people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who accomplished their mission, set back a nuclear program in ways that other presidents would have dreamed. How about we celebrate that? How about we talk about how special America is, that only we have these capabilities? I think it's too much to ask, unfortunately, for the fake news. So we're used to that. But we also have an opportunity to stand at the podium and read the truth of what's really happening. And the reality is, you want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated, choose your word. This was an historically successful attack, and we should celebrate it as Americans. And it gives us a chance to have peace, chance to have a deal, and an opportunity to prevent a nuclear Iran, which is something President Trump talked about for 20 years.
I just love that. I just love it. I mean,
and
I love everyone in this administration. What's that?
He went after Fox, which I thought was key too.
Yeah, and he's especially gone after Jennifer Griffin from time to time because they do not they do not they do not see eye to eye at all. But it's true. I mean, every chance the media gets, they want to focus on the most negative parts of how everything is going instead of the successes. Now, should they report on negative parts? Of course. But the fact is that they only ever want to focus on that. They never want to focus on anything that actually makes America look good. And that's gross. I don't know why I just don't know why they're like that. But they are.
Well, one of those press conferences the other day, it wasn't that one. I think it was another one. Pete said something very interesting. And he's got a great perspective because he used to work in the media, obviously. Yeah. Everything is written for a reason. And that's when he was ripping CNN for something they said the other day. But that's true. Everything is written for a reason. The media in this country stopped being about journalism a long time ago when big money came in. And it's been this way for a long time. I don't know why we always act surprised, but whether you're the liberal network, the conservative network, I don't think there's really anybody that's in between. Some folks will try to say they are, but come on, we weren't born yesterday. You have to write that headline of what's going to resonate with your core audience, 25 to 54. That's what's known as the money demo in broadcasting. 25 to 54, the people that spend the advertising money and the people you want to attract with your advertising money. So if you're the anti-Trump network, if you're CNN, if you're MS Now, whatever they're called, you've got to write the headline that's going to make people want to keep buying advertising money to watch your program. If you're Fox, you're going to be the pro-America, the pro-Trump people. That's your headlines you're going to write there. I think the more people understand the 25 to 54 money demo theory, the more you will understand that it's all just for show. How did
it work back in the day when it wasn't? I mean, I get it. You know, we're now in this sort of 24-hour news cycle where back in the day, it was like, you know, we had a 6 o'clock evening news and that was it. It was like other programming the rest of the time. So is it that they're on 24 hours a day and they need those advertising dollars more than they ever did when it was just sort of scattered news, or what? Like, why is it so gross now?
I think in a way you can also benefit from this, Mock, because the market is so oversaturated with news and political coverage, or if you're not into that, sports or music or entertainment, because of the internet, because of the YouTube shows, because of the podcast. Many podcasts, including yours, are beating the brakes off of traditional news type programs or radio shows or TV shows. So if you're Fox, if you're CNN, if you're MSNBC, you've got to up your game a little bit. you've got to think, all right, what can we say that's going to keep people here and keep them away from Joe Rogan, or keep them away from chicks on the right, or keep them away from Pat McAfee's show? People who are having big success outside of the traditional broadcast medium. And this is where we're getting some of these sensational headlines. And I know we're going to get into the podcaster feud a little bit later on.
Oh, yeah,
but,
definitely.
The market is just so loaded with big personalities and big opinions. I'm sure there's probably been somebody that's done some research that say, hey, people like that. Keep feeding the beast here. And if you're an executive over at one of the major networks, you got to think to yourself, okay, what can we do to bring those millions of dollars over here and keep them from over there?
Yeah. And so what happens is that everything just gets more salacious and more disgusting. And then it's just this endless cycle where we have to have Pete and other members of the administration going out and screaming at the media for being gross. And the media just has to get grosser in order to keep eyeballs. It's awful. It's awful that this is where we are now. And then, you mentioned, and we're of course going to get to all the podcaster wars, but then now, like, the respite for all of that, which was radio, which was podcasts, which was alternative media, now that's getting gross. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you cannot escape. Where do you actually go for just your straight up news and commentary? You know what I mean?
And what's wild is there's such a big discrepancy in the way people in this country have consumed media. So like my parents grew up watching like Walter Cronkite, right?
Yes.
Well, my kids grow up watching TikTok. Well, there's a pretty big difference there between the way we used to consume news, right? I remember the first major news story I remember, I'm 48 years old, was when the Challenger blew up. And I was in school and they brought the TV in and we watched that live, and that was a big deal. And that was straight news. Had that happened today, it'd be on TikTok and every conspiracy theorist would say,
oh
this
my gosh,
and that. Could you imagine that story today? Like
Candace would be like, Israel has blown up the Challenger.
Right. Right. We would blame the previous 3 presidential administrations for failing to make sure that we're not melting off the icebergs of the space shuttles. And that's just kind of where we're at right now.
Do you remember, because I obviously that's the Challenger explosion. That's one of those things where you know exactly where you were when you saw that it happen. And just like you, I was in physics class and they brought out the TV and we all talked about it and it was this big deal. But like, do you remember what news story or even just when? Because I know when I recognized that there was 24-hour news and that you could actually you could just put your eyes on a TV station and watch news literally nonstop. And it was when 9/11 happened. And that's when I first realized, well, holy crap, if I want to know what's going on with the latest, then I can turn to this Fox channel and CNN. I mean, CNN was the first to do it because of course they were CNN 24-hour news. But when all these other channels, I remember that's when I started watching Fox. And I remember just obviously wanting to just be glued to the television, not wanting to miss anything, and just crying like nonstop for days. And that is when, to me, that's when it first drew people in to just the and that's when they started having to realize, oh crap, we can't just talk about news. We're gonna have to fill this in with cultural stories, with other things. But it's so different than the way it used to be. So different.
You're right.
It's wild. Oh my God. All right. I mentioned that guy, the Iranian, is it foreign minister or defense minister? I cannot remember. It doesn't matter. He's a creep. He's one of the terrorists, essentially. And he was on with Margaret Brennan, who pointedly asked him, how come like no one in your country can have internet but you? Like, what's that all about? And he really, really struggled with trying to justify this. Here's how it went.
I just do want to point out, you're speaking to us via Zoom. The Iranian people don't have open internet access, but you do. Why?
Well, because I'm the voice of Iranians, and I have to defend their right. So this is why I have access to internet to just have our voice being heard by the international community. But internet is closed because of the security reasons, because we are under attack, we are under aggression, and we have to do everything to protect our people. In any country, there are, urgent measures taken for the sake of war.
That seems shady AF.
Yeah. Imagine being the worst person in a room that also features Margaret Brennan. Like, I couldn't get past that. Like, I should probably hate the foreign minister, the Ayatollah of rock and roll, or whatever the hell he's calling himself here. I should probably hate him, but I just despise Mags so much. I hate Margaret Brennan so much. And I can be fully transparent with you. I'm not going to lie. There's a part of me that still finds her attractive. And if I were at a hotel bar and being a single man and it's, 11 o'clock at night, I'd slide a bourbon her way and try to take her up to Pound Town. And I hate myself for that. I absolutely hate myself because I would do that to Margaret Brennan. But, she's just the worst, Mock. Just of all the hosts. Margaret Brennan may be the number one seed. If you're doing a March Madness bracket of just insufferable witches, Margaret Brennan may be the number one seed, and yes, I'd still do her.
That is saying something, because you've got Mika Brzezinski, you have Nicole Wallace, you have Kristen Welker. Like, you're taught that's, if you're doing a Mount Rushmore, for example, of the worst women, I don't even know how you pick. I don't know how you pick Margaret as top dog there, because they're all so awful.
That debate that she did with the vice presidential candidates on CBS was just a clown show, an absolute clown show. And to me, 100%. That put her over the top, because she masquerades as a straight news anchor. Like, what you're getting with Kristen Welker, what you're getting with all these MS Now hags that are so concerned they might not have a correspondence dinner next year. But she parades herself as this bastion of truth. And no, you're just a horrible, horrible woman. You're America's ex-wife. That's who you are.
That's the perfect way to describe her. Oh my God, I love that. America's ex-wife. I'm going to have to remember that. And you are going to have to remember that if you have a dog and you're not giving your dog a supplement, just like you would yourself, what is wrong with you? This is Rough Greens. This is the brainchild of naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, who created Rough Greens because he wants dogs and your pets to live the longest possible time. Who doesn't want that? I ask you. Everybody wants that, especially when it comes to your dog. I mean, I want my dog to live forever and ever. I mean, she's already 11 and it just pains me, but I know that both Ella Dog, who died at 15 years and 4 months old, and now Maisie, who's 11, the reason for their longevity is partly due to Rough Greens. It's got all the things that your dog needs. It's got the essential vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, digestive enzymes. They need a supplement to go with their dead, dry dog food. This is the stuff that brings it to life. So you can try it for free. You can get a Jumpstart trial bag. All you do is cover shipping when you go to Rough Chicks, RUFF Chicks.com, and use code CHICKS, or as I like to say, roughchicks.com. And
make sure you spell that properly, because I've gone to the other site and it's something
totally different.
Totally different. Now,
I knew you were going to say that.
By the way, Mock, hat tip, your segues have been chef kiss. Like, people in the chat are like the queen of the segue. So I want to prove that I can go toe-to-toe with you on a segue here, because I've got my own sponsor, okay? Speaking of greens, I'm Jason Hammer from the Hammer and Nigel show in Indianapolis, and if you know me, I like to drink beer. And remember, even though it's 8:39 in the morning where I'm living right now, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. And that's why I prefer green Solo cups. Green Solo cups have been getting me hammered ever since I turned 20 and had my first fake ID. So remember, you don't want to get red Solo cups. That's for communists. It's St. Patrick's Day. Green Solo cup, the official beverage cup of getting drunk in the morning. Tell them Hammer sent you.
That was amazing. I wish I had a banner ad to show for you. I should write one real quick for tomorrow's show. I'll have a banner ready for you for green Solo cups. All right, we need to shift gears a little bit to talk about what's going on with the shutdown, because we're still in this partial shutdown. I'm very, very worried about Amy Jo getting back from Hawaii. I would very much like her to come back. And I would like my sister to come visit. She's supposed to be here in a couple weeks. And it's a problem. Like, TSA lines are absolutely out of control, and Democrats keep voting down every possible chance to get these agencies open. My husband and I were boating over the weekend, and we saw a Coast Guard dredge out in the middle of the river. And I was like, look at that. There they are working, not getting paid. And it just makes me so mad that they're doing this without pay. They've now missed one full paycheck and a half paycheck. And there is no sign of this getting any better. Cory Booker was asked about it on one of the news shows. And I think it was Jake Tapper, who's like, they just, all they want to do is open the agencies. Like, what is your problem? And here is how that conversation went.
Isn't it time for Democrats to reopen and refund DHS?
So first of all, Democrats have tried multiple times to try to get TSA, CISA, the Coast Guard funded. Republicans have refused time and time again to fund.
Yeah, they want the whole agency funded.
They want the whole agency.
Yeah, they want the whole agency, you idiot. They're trying to get like these bills passed where they're like, we'll fund everything except for ICE or CBP or whatever. I cannot believe, and we're like facing all these terror attacks.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just absurd to me that they don't care. And it's so clear that they don't care.
And look, I expect this from the political left, right? We're not going to act like we're surprised. This is who they are. I'm upset at the messaging campaign of the Republicans here. And let me explain why. You're going to tell me you gave Kristi Noem all this money to do commercials to promote ICE and border and all this kind of stuff. And all we got was a hot chick on a horse wearing skinny jeans. That's all we got? You need to get the messaging out there. You need to find some more money that says ICE is already funded from the big, beautiful bill. If you can't get through airport security, these people are playing theater right now. The
100%.
Democrats are saying they don't want to fund ICE, but it's already funded. So the reason why you're stuck in line for 4 hours at the airport is because of theater, because of Cory Booker, because of all these lunatics. That's the messaging that needs to get out there. But I don't think the Republicans have done a very good job of getting that out. I'm willing to bet if I walk to any restaurant, any barbershop, anywhere here in Central Indy and say, hey, are you in favor of the Democrats holding out to defund ICE? You'll get opinions, but most of those people probably don't know that it's already funded. And that's the problem. That's the messaging problem the Republicans have, and they have to do better at getting that out.
You're absolutely right. And you hear it now and then, but I think it's people like us who are very, very engaged, our audience who is very, very engaged. They obviously know what's going on. But you're right. If you're just out there in the world and you're talking to your regular Joe Schmo, they have no clue. What they know is that they are paying higher prices at the grocery and at the gas station. And they're thinking, why is that happening? Trump is president, therefore Trump equals bad. I mean, this is like how your regular disengaged or unengaged person thinks. And so you're absolutely right that the messaging has to get better. Now, it is looking like there's going to be a vote on the SAVE Act this week, but that is also facing all kinds of turmoil. Here's just a little bit of a Fox report about when to expect this vote to happen.
On the Save America Act as the Senate gears up for a vote on Wednesday. Senate Majority Leader John Thune casting doubt over using the talking filibuster to get this over the finish line, saying the votes are not there.
So I don't even know at this point if they're going to do a talking filibuster, if there's been enough pressure to do it. As far as I can tell, that's the only way. And even that is not a sure thing to get this over the finish line. And so when I saw this tweet about Eric Schmidt.
Current administration, especially with the spirit.
Sorry, that totally rewound and I don't want it to do that. So I saw this tweet about Eric Schmidt from Missouri, who I love. I love that. I love him. But he is now going to be adding these totally unrelated to the SAVE Act items that Trump really wants to be part of the SAVE Act, which includes no transgender stuff for kids and banning men in women's sports, those are now going to be attached to a SAVE Act that already doesn't have the votes. And I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand the mentality of adding things to something that's basically dead on arrival. Do you have any understanding of this? Because I don't get it. Why is he trying to make it harder?
I think he knows at this point that it's not going to pass, which is disgusting in itself. But
Totally.
You might as well get them all on the record here. Find out who is in favor of men playing women's sports. Find out who thinks kids should have their junk chopped off or have a sex surgery, possibly behind their parents' back, with the schools involved here. Like, if you're going to do it, go big or go home. It may be your only opportunity for this roll call type of vote to see who stands where ahead of the midterm votes. I hate that this is probably not going to pass because not all pieces of legislation are equal. You pass, excuse me, the SAVE Act here. You've got, I think, a fair fight in elections moving forward. If you don't pass the SAVE Act here, you're going to get your ass handed to you because the Democrats are really, really, really good at finding creative ways to get some of those ballots in. Look, you can call me a tinfoil hat guy all you want, but the fact that Joe Biden in 2020 got more votes than anybody, it's not even close. The year that there was a lot of mail-in ballots is weird to me. So not all pieces of legislation are equal. I keep hearing the argument of, well, if you do it here, when the Democrats have power, they're going to make, Washington, D.C. a state. They're going to add another state. It's going to be 52 states. They're going to control the Senate and the House. Okay.
It's true.
Very true. But you also, if you have fair elections, I think you have a fair fight. And this is so key. It's such a key piece of legislation. And it's common sense. It's not asking that much to show you're a resident of the United States and have an identification.
But the problem, and I totally agree with you, the problem with adding this trans stuff and the men and women's sports thing is that you're taking away then from a pure roll call vote on the SAVE Act, which is overwhelmingly favored by the majority of Americans. When you start adding all the culture war stuff, then they have an out. Then Democrats who don't want to vote for, voter ID are going to be like, well, I would have voted for voter ID, but I'm not ready to, talk about this whole men and women's sports because it's a nuanced issue, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It just gives them an out. And I don't like that. I don't like that that's happening. And it's going to get even more convoluted because now the House, there's people in the House like Anna Paulina Luna, who I have a feeling you are into. I feel like you like her. Right? Am I right?
Well assembled. She is a well-assembled representative of the House of Representatives.
She is well assembled indeed. So now she is saying this week the Senate will learn that all of their bills will die in the House until they can get election integrity passed. We will kill every single one of their bills for as long as it takes. And it only takes a few of Republicans like her to do this because the majority is so slim. The margin is so slim. And so now we're going to be in this gridlock. We're going to be in this absolute, they're not going to do anything, including open the government, I'm afraid. And so this is all just getting to be, it's so ineffective for American people. We're the ones that end up suffering for all of this grandstanding. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm so sick of this shit, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
You're 100% right. What it's going to take is, during spring break, during summer vacation time, when all these Democrats get stuck at the airport or their families that have to go through security, then all of a sudden they'll see the light. But until then, they don't give a damn about us, about the people, what we're talking about. And unfortunately, like we said earlier, I think the only reason they're throwing all this stuff onto the SAVE Act bill is because they know it's not going to happen. We know what they're doing because we follow this stuff closely. But the average person that's sitting at home is going to be like, oh, the SAVE Act didn't pass. That's a bummer. I guess people don't want voter identification. No, they know it's not going to pass because you have to have 60. Everything is so tribal right now. So you might as well just throw on there free ice cream day in the United States every Thursday. It doesn't matter because it's not going to pass. And they know that.
There was a comment earlier from someone saying that we need the gridlock because the Democrats need to learn the hard way. But it's not Democrats learning the hard way. It's us. We're the ones that are suffering. We're the ones standing in the TSA lines. You know what I mean? Like we're the Coast Guard is the ones not getting paid. TSA is not getting paid. These Democrats continue to get paid. And so all of this is just a political battle that we're the children caught in the middle of the divorce. You know what I mean? And it's just so, God, it's so aggravating.
And it's for something that's already done. The ICE agents are paid this big, beautiful bill. That's their big rallying cry. It's already done.
Yes, absolutely. All right, now we're going to get into the gossip part of the show, and there's a lot of gossip to get to. We're going to start with probably somebody else who you think is very well put together. And that is Carrie Prejean Bowler, who was like the pageant lady that's gone off the deep end and was kicked off the Religious Freedom Commission. So in addition to Carrie being kicked off of the commission, out of sympathy for her, I guess, or out of solidarity with her, one of the Muslim chick that she was talking to over text during that now famous panel of the Religious Freedom Commission, that woman has now resigned in protest of Carrie being kicked off. And so Carrie was quick to fawn all over her in this very, very long tweet where she was just like, a Muslim woman and a Catholic woman united in our commitment to religious freedom. And it's just one more example of the horseshoe theory, right? It's where the worst possible people come together, and the rest of us, the normies, are up here at the top of the horseshoe wondering what the hell is going on with people who used to consider themselves to be conservative. She's crazy. She is absolutely batshit. And so she thanked this Muslim woman. And then, as if things couldn't get more batshit, Thomas Massie is asking for Congress to get in the middle of Trump removing her from the commission. What? This is bonkers. So he said he was asking he wrote this big giant letter and said, I'm asking 2 congressional committees to review the fact that Trump wanted her removed. Everybody on this commission serves at the pleasure of the president, as they say, about anybody that is appointed by him. So what do you make of him thinking this is a congressional issue?
Thomas, she's not going to have sex with you. She's not into you. I know you probably think you're Richard Gere right now, walking in at the end of an officer and a gentleman, and you're going to pick up Carrie Prejean and you're going to carry her out as Love Lift Us Up Where We Belong plays. And she's wearing your hat and she's got your tie on, but that ain't happening, partner. So knock off the crap. You're those saps, right? You're the guy that buys all the girls flowers and candies and sends her cards. Meanwhile, she's banging dudes like me. So remember that. That's how it works in the real world. And as for Carrie, here's what happens when you get President Trump. You're going to get some of his baggage, right? Like, I like what he does on a foreign policy scale. I like what he does, focusing on the border. But you got to remember, he put Omarosa in a position of power. He hired the mooch. He was, infatuated with Carrie Prejean because she had awesome rockin' cans. So you take the good, you take the bad. It's like the theme song of The Facts of Life when you're dealing with Trump. Yes, he's the guy that cares about America. There's no doubt about that. But he cares about hot ass, too. And he's always cared about hot ass. He's married to a piece of hot ass. He's banged a bunch of hot ass. And he will always bring in hot ass if given the opportunity.
I knew I would love that answer. I knew I would love whatever answer you gave to that, and I did, because you're a real dude. That was a real dude answer.
Bring Alina Habba in. Let's get her back in the mix here. More hot ass. Let's make hot ass great again. Give me the hat.
So here's somebody that you may not have thought about in a while, but who decided all of a sudden to weigh in on Carrie's removal from the commission, and that is Sarah Palin.
Oh.
Sarah Palin has decided to weigh in, saying, why then are we calling this religious liberty? Carrie Prejean, hashtag no questions allowed. Agree with Americans' right to question an influential country's leadership decisions or not. Censoring citizens' concerns is, well, concerning. And it's like Sarah didn't pay attention to the real reason that she got booted from the committee, which is that she took it over to basically promote her own interests in protecting Candace Owens, which had nothing to do with the commission whatsoever. But what do you make of Sarah Palin jumping into this fray?
Hey, look, she's got her right to an opinion. Sarah can say what she wants. She's got a track record of, at least, like being engaged with things. Why do we care what Carrie Prejean thinks? I think sometimes we're getting too in the weeds here. We've spent the last 5 minutes talking about what a chick that does fancy pageant walking thinks. I just don't care. And maybe this is a dude thing compared to a female thing, but if Carrie Prejean had been a member of the House or a member of the Senate or a member of some committee, a part of a think tank or something, okay, maybe I would care what Carrie Prejean has to think. But if she has to tell me what her turn-ons are and I'm voting on whether she looks good or not in a bikini, that's cool, but I just don't give a damn what you think about God or religion or anything like that. I just don't. We get so caught up in this stuff, and I'm just as guilty because we talk about this stuff on our radio show too. But we get so caught up into what Carrie Prejeans think. And honestly, if Carrie Prejean walked inside any restaurant in America right now, people would be like, "Oh, that's an attractive woman." Nobody would come up and go, "What are your thoughts on God?"
Right. But, and I think the reason that I know the reason that Daisy and I talk about this a lot in all of these fights is because these are people that individually have a lot of influence, and so, whether we like it or not. So as a result of this whole hullabaloo, Carrie Prejean Bowler is now vastly more influential than she was before, just in terms of her social media following, the people that she's talking to. She obviously just got interviewed by Tucker, which we'll get to. And so they're getting their voices heard on a scale that, to your point, they shouldn't, because who really cares this one woman, what she thinks? But the problem is that now collectively, the weirdest, most damaging voices are getting louder and louder. And if there's no counter to that, then somehow the entire Republican Party and the entire conservative movement gets lumped in with these weirdos. And I want to make it very clear that that is not what we're about. You know what I mean? And if we don't call it out, then I don't want to be associated with her, or even at this point, Megyn Kelly, who is promoting the same thing. She asked the question, "Where's Carrie Prejean?" in defense of Carrie, and Carrie answered saying, "I've been removed from this committee." And Megyn said, "It's absurd. Where's your religious liberty? You have to have only one view to be on this panel." Again, ignoring the fact that she created a scene with her outbursts at that commission, and it had nothing to do with her religious beliefs and everything to do with how much she hijacked that entire commission. So I don't know. I just
on one thing though, you're absolutely right. The Republicans don't want to be associated with crazy. There's enough of that on the other side. You don't want to be associated. And she does have a massive social media following. But is that real life? That's a question we always ask. Is social media real life? Because social media told you that Kamala Harris was neck and neck with President Trump and all this other stuff. And Trump beat the brakes off her in the election. And while Carrie Prejean has a lot of social media followers, I'm willing to bet many of those followers 5 to 7 years ago, we had to tell, don't eat Tide Pods, don't eat detergent. Are these actual voters? Are these people that we actually want in the party? Or is it just like the people that follow the Kardashians? I know there's a bunch of them. I'm sure they exist, but are they real life and do they matter? That's the question. Does social media equal real life? I don't think it does when it comes to Carrie Prejean and her followers and what that means to the conservative movement or religion.
I genuinely don't know is where I am on that question now. I want to believe that it is very just internet focused and that it's a fringe. But, when you have these people, including Megyn now and Candace and Tucker, whose videos are viewed 11 billion times more than any mainstream news media, than any other podcast, they're always in the top 10 podcasts. somebody's listening. You know what I mean? And those are
Right.
real people. Those aren't internet people. They can't all be bots. And so again, I just go back to, we have got to be the counter to the crazy. And that's why we end up spending so much time on it. Plus it gets really juicy. I mean, let's face it. Like some of these fights are so juicy. So now, I mean, just to discover over the weekend that Megyn was, you know, all about Carrie. It's so weird. Megyn has become very, very interesting because now, and we've got like we got to get into the whole thing with her and Mark Levin and her like calling out his genitals because that's freaking weird. But she's very much now into Carrie Prejean. And somebody suggested, hey, Megyn, you need to have Carrie back on your show. Apparently she was on way back in the day, making fun of Laura Loomer, also one of the worst people ever, but part of this whole gossip circle. And so now Megyn is like, oh, I adore her. I adore Carrie. So just be on the lookout because that podcast is going to happen soon.
I said, you realize.
So now we need to talk about Carrie on Tucker because this was an interview that took place last week. And she and Tucker have decided that her being removed from that commission is ultimately what needed to happen. You're going to have to help me make sense of this for the Iran strikes to take place. Like she is the impetus for the Iranian strikes. I don't know how she gets there, but
in America, that these people like Paula White, Dan Patrick, Ted Cruz, most of our politicians in government who have power, who are in the White House praying over the president, they're Zionists. They believe that 1948 Israel is a biblical prophecy fulfillment. And now they're forcing it on me, a Catholic, on this commission.
They're forcing it.
Yeah, it's really scary.
Well, and especially since we just, wound up in a war thanks to this. I mean, it's hard not to see this as all preparation for this war, which is resetting the world.
And they had to get rid of the only dissenter of Zionism. They had to get rid of her on this commission before the war. It was within weeks.
That did occur to me watching this. Why is it so important to crush this woman?
This self-importance. Oh my gosh. Wow. Like, how do you even go? How do you get from that point A to that point B? How?
So Tucker, like we all know Tucker face, right? The Tucker face. We've seen it a million times. There's a couple moments in that interview where you could tell Tucker was like, all right, I like this woman. She's on my show. But even Tucker is like, you're a moron. There's a couple different pauses right there where I think Tucker just looks at her and goes, oh. And then there's another one.
He totally bought into it all. He was like agreeing with her.
I didn't think he wanted to upstage his guest. I think he realized once he got her on his show, he's got time to fill. He can't just say, okay, this woman's a total zero, and now we've got 18 minutes. Here, watch this. Da 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 da.
Oh my gosh.
Like, look at Tucker's body language. Maybe I'm wrong, but look at Tucker's body language. I don't know if you can, but if you can go back and play that clip again. I don't know if I'm screwing you up here.
No, that's fine. I can read
it. A couple different moments where Tucker has body language that says, yeah, this woman's an idiot.
Okay. Is it like
when she starts talking and then the first time you see Tucker, there's an awkward pregnant pause and he says something like, oh, or wow. That's fancy talk for you're an idiot.
Okay. Well, I'll watch that with new eyes.
Yeah. It's really scary.
Well, and especially since we just, wound up in a war thanks to this. I mean, it's hard not to see this as all preparation for this war, which is resetting the world.
And they had to get.
He's the one saying all the crazy shit. I don't know, man. I think they're both insane.
He does. Tucker does. He has kind of gone off the deep end. I get that. But I don't know. I think she was even a little too crazy for Tucker right there. What I heard was like when a buddy of yours comes up and goes, yeah, I could have been all state in football if the coach would have put me in. All of us usually go, yeah. Like that's the same response that Tucker gave Carrie Prejean right there. Uncle Rico telling you that he would have won the state football championship if a coach would have put him in. Yeah, sure. I bet.
Okay, well, I don't know. Tucker, I mean, he's he's gone off the deep end, absolutely, like just over the past several months. And now there's this new story that he has put out into the world over the weekend that he is under criminal investigation, that there might be a criminal referral to the Department of Justice for his conversations being spied on by the CIA with Iran. And so he's putting this story out there preemptively, I guess, in order to, I don't know, rile up his base to like be in protection mode for him in case there is a criminal referral. But like, why are you talking to Iran? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
It seems like it's obvious that the CIA would be listening in or, you know, surveilling Iranian people, certain people, to see what they're saying. And if Tucker is somebody that they're talking to, that seems like they're not spying on Tucker as much as it is that they're spying on our enemies. So Nick Matau, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, Matau, broke this down in a very easy to understand way, and also made it sound like this was a strategery move on Trump's part, which is very, very interesting. Check this out.
Tucker Carlson might be going to prison. I have some reported information that dives a little deeper on Tucker's contact with IRGC personnel, how President Trump used this to take out Khomeini, and surprise the IRGC. So as many of you have seen, Tucker had this to say on his show.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war.
Talking to who in Iran, Tucker? Because people don't get arrested for talking to people in Iran. In fact, many Americans talk with people in Iran, family, friends, etc. That is, when they are able to, around the times the IRGC cuts off the internet and services, but you seem to figure it out. That is, you are speaking with people in the IRGC. About what? We may have that information, and this will reportedly all be released in these next coming days or so.
They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that.
No, they didn't read your text, Tucker. They were actually monitoring the calls and messages of our enemies, the same ones plotting against us and screaming consistently, "Death to America." Do you remember Robert Hansen, the FBI counterintelligence agent who secretly spied for the Soviet Union and later Russia for over 20 years until 2001? He was arrested not because the US was monitoring Hansen at first, but because they discovered him by analyzing information coming from Russian intelligence files. Same thing here. If this information is reportedly true, President Trump knew about Tucker's traitorous betrayal of the United States and gave him false information, like he had no intention of attacking Iran. This explains the increasing amount of appearances Tucker had to the White House leading up to Operation Epic Fury. Tucker would then pass that information on to our adversaries, which gave the IRGC a false sense of security. This would include opening up Khomeini to an airstrike along with countless other IRGC leaders who are all now dead. So don't believe Tucker watering down what is happening with this investigation in his video, where he seems extremely nervous, shaken, and uncomfortable. Use a little bit of sense. You don't get in trouble and accused of being a foreign agent charged under the Foreign Agents Registration Act of 1938 simply for just speaking to Iranians. I know that. You know that, and Tucker supporters deep down know that as well. We shall see how this plays out over the next coming days, but if it is even halfway true what is being reported, and what I have on good measure will be released soon, then he is, to put it lightly, fucked.
So that is some serious strategery going on, if that were true, about Donald Trump. Now, there's reports and grumblings from the White House this morning that all of this is just fake news, that it's
Right.
that Tucker's not even being considered for a criminal referral, that even that's untrue. And they're like, why is he even saying such a thing? So, leave it to Tucker. I absolutely believe 100% that he would make up shit like this all the time, every day. But it seems like he made it up. And I don't know why, except that he's trying to foment even more dissatisfaction with Trump.
The reason he made it up is because we're sitting here talking about it. Your show, which is being streamed all over the country, talk shows like mine, people are talking about Tucker Carlson. And again, the podcaster game right now is professional wrestling. It's WWE. Everybody's got to find their gimmick. Everybody's got to find their way to get over with the audience so they can get paid. right? Go back in the day. Hulk Hogan was the pro-American guy. The Iron Sheik was the anti-American guy. Each one was popular. Each one had their own audience, and each one made a bunch of money. Tucker, now that he doesn't have a nightly show on Fox anymore or any cable news network, he's competing with Rogan. He's competing with Megyn Kelly and Mark Levin and Bill O'Reilly and all these people that are no longer on television. So what's going to be your angle? What are you going to do to bring people in? And it goes back to our conversation that we had earlier. What are you going to do to bring numbers in so you can sell for advertising? And Tucker's angle is, look, I don't think this is a war we should be in. I've got some friends maybe over in Iran, and they're telling you a different story. And what better way to drum up attention than make up a bullcrap story on yourself? And even if it were true, let's say that maybe there was a referral on Tucker and they're thinking about prosecuting. Nobody's going to jail. Have you watched any of these hearings over the last 15 years of my life? Nobody ever goes to jail. Fauci got away with everything. Big tech got away with everything. All the COVID folks get away with everything. Election fraud, they all get away with everything. Nobody ever goes to jail. We get awesome sound bites. We play them on our show. We talk about, look at James Comer bringing the heat. That hillbilly really gave it to him. And nobody ever goes to jail. It sucks.
It does suck. I mean, because we obviously play all the committee hearings on our show, and we're like, ooh, Jim Jordan got in the zinger, and then we're like, okay, but like now what? And it's it's just such a big letdown when there's no accountability. But the Tucker Brigade and all the people that are now like his big supporters and who are like-minded with him, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're all super worried now. They bought right into it. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, if you're noticing Tucker being attacked from literally every direction of the political machine, it's because they're terrified of him running for president because he would win, and they know it. And that is why I'm deeply concerned for my friend Tucker and his family. These people are vicious and evil and will attempt to destroy anyone and everyone that reveals the truth.
Tell them Large Marge sent you. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Look, if Tucker wants to run for president, that's fine. I'm here for it. Again, we're not the Democrats over here. Let the process play out. We just don't anoint somebody. We don't find the dumbest, gaffe machine we could find and anoint them as the chosen one. Have the primary process. If the people want Tucker, go ahead. If they want JD or Rubio, I'm here for it all. But quite frankly, I'm done listening to what Large Marge has to say.
Well, and just the drama that they're creating about what appears to be just a completely made up story is so ridiculous. And their defense of him is so over the top. For example, Candace Owens also said, if they come for Tucker, we ride at dawn.
Okay. Now it's a tag team WWE wrestling match, right? It's tag team. You got to tag in your partner, and the next person comes in and starts raising hell. You know who doesn't do this? People who have network television shows. You don't see Jesse Waters and Gutfeld talking back and forth on social media like this. Even over at MS Now, you don't see Rachel Maddow and Stop the Hammering guy always, tag teaming and fighting together because they have the jobs people want. I promise you right now, as successful as Candace and Tucker are with their podcast, if any network promised them a primetime show, an 8 p.m. show on any one of them, they would drop what they're doing and they would come running back. I guarantee.
Do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But because they don't have that guaranteed staff of $50 million budget, hair, makeup people, the whole nine, they're having to do this. They're fighting on social media. They're tribal on social media. It's become podcast Survivor.
I don't know, man, because Megyn's always talking about how many more eyeballs she gets on her show. And she does get all glammed up still. She's still got a team that does that. And they make a lot of money, like a lot.
They do. But man, I just think if Fox came to Megyn Kelly and said, your podcast has been super successful, we want to take that to television. Everybody's got a price. She might still do a podcast, but she would do a show too. Like in the sports world, look at Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee started as a podcast, and that was important to him to keep that. But he's also since then taken it to ESPN and this big mega $1 million deal. And I love Pat. Pat is an awesome American, great Hoosier, does a lot for charity here in my town. But Pat's the proof. You can still bet on yourself, still do your podcast thing. But when you get a chance to do that network TV show, it's hard to turn that down.
That is really interesting because I always just figured they are doing exactly now what they want. They've got the autonomy. They don't have to, they can say what they want, and they are clearly because they've all lost their minds.
Where are they going to go?
Okay, that's true. That's true. That's true. They don't have a choice currently. That's true. One thing before we move on to the Mark Levin and Megyn spat, which is my favorite thing ever. We've got to talk about the fact that there were rumors abound on the internet over the weekend that Netanyahu had been taken out by an Iranian strike. And naturally, the people that hate him the most were the ones that were promoting this idea that he was dead and that any video that you might be seeing of him was completely fake. So I just want to show everybody how ridiculous it got, because what people were saying or what they were posting were photos like what you're about to see. So here's an example. Because Benjamin Netanyahu is in different light in these two photos, this idiot, Ethan Levine or Levins or whatever, said, "This is a different man. Netanyahu is no longer with us." And then it got even more ridiculous because a rumor came out because there was a response by Israel who put out a video of Bibi addressing the world saying, "Hey, I'm alive." People in their desperation to keep the narrative going that he was dead, they took a screenshot from the video of him talking and modified it with AI to make it look like one hand had 6 fingers. And then they showed that screenshot and said, "See, this is AI." And so here is a woman by the name of Shai Albrecht breaking down this ridiculous rumor for the ridiculousness that it is. Here's Shai.
Oh my gosh, listen to this newest lie that's going around town.
Netanyahu has not been seen in public since the war started, and yesterday the Israelis released a video of him talking, and people were quick to point out, this is AI. In the video, people were able to point out the disappearing 6th finger that was popping up on both hands.
Oh my gosh, this terrorist regime supporter is reposting fake news? No. Notice how he didn't show you the actual video. No, he showed you doctored pictures from the actual video. See, I went to that video and I decided I'm gonna watch all 8 and some minutes of that video. And you know what I didn't see? 6 fingers anywhere. But what these morons are doing is they're screenshotting a piece of his video, adding a finger and then saying, look, in the video there are added fingers. Not to mention today we got this video where Netanyahu's showing his 5-fingered hand and enjoying himself a real live cup of coffee. But of course morons like this won't take their Netanyahu's dead videos down, because sharing the truth with you is not the goal. It's to get as many views and likes as possible.
100%. So the coffee thing became a whole other thing on its own, where then people were like, wait a minute, that cup of coffee was full. And when he picked it up, it didn't spill anywhere. And so the community note, you guys, the community note was like, this is called surface tension. That's how dumb everything has gotten, is that people actually have to explain physics to debunk these ridiculous conspiracies. But Bibi is very much alive and well.
We've done that here in this country, though. Like, I've seen pictures of Biden like that. This is a different Joe Biden. I've seen pictures of Fetterman. This is a different Fetterman.
Yes.
Fetterman died of the stroke. But if I were Bibi, this is how I would have handled it, right? The 6-finger controversy, I would have taken a selfie of myself at a urinal holding my crank. There's my 6th finger. You're right. You got me. Give the people what they want, Bibi. I'm Bibi, there's Dee Dee. 6 of them right there. Boom.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Now that is a perfect segue.
Love it when it's unsolicited, right? There's nothing better than the unsolicited crank pick that goes.
Oh yeah, we love that. We all love that, don't we? Don't we, ladies? Don't we love an unsolicited dick pic? It's our favorite.
Right. It's the classy and romantic thing to do.
Right. It's all I ever want for Valentine's Day. That's all I ever want. Okay, well, that is a perfect segue into the Megyn and Mark fight. So here's how it started. If you haven't heard about this fight, get ready, because here's how it started. It all started with Megyn reposting a ridiculous tweet from some dude named Ryan Grimm, who was justifying the Michigan synagogue attack by saying, oh, that poor terrorist lost family members in an Israeli strike on Lebanon. How sad. And Megyn reposted it, which people could not believe. And just to give you an example, there was a woman by the name of Brooke Goldstein who was just so disappointed, as many of us are, with Megyn Kelly. And she wrote this big diatribe. But the long and short of it was to just say how disappointed she was to see someone who was once so respected, such a good, serious journalist, like devolve into this bitterness and then repost content from a guy who works for a Soros-funded website. And so I totally agree with everything that Brooke was saying. But when Mark Levin saw that Megyn had reposted that, he was a lot more succinct with his criticism. And by the way, Megyn responded to Brooke saying, "Dear Brooke, I regret to inform you that this shit doesn't work on me anymore. Take care." Which I was like, oh, damn, Megyn is feeling feisty. It's going to be a very interesting weekend indeed, because she was not letting anybody get away with insulting her. Like it was on. But Mark Levin's response to that repost of Megyn's was to simply say she is evil, diabolical, gone. That's what Mark said. And then it got ugly. It got real ugly, real quick. And so I'm going to be Megyn and you be Mark in some of these exchanges that we're about to see. Okay. And so I don't remember who is first. I think she responds to that. And you can, I'll read what she said. She said, "I'm sorry you have a micro penis, Mark Levin, but don't drag the rest of us into your drama." Okay. And so I immediately was like, why would she know anything about his penis size? Why? Why would she say this? And so he responded, and you can read what he said on this next screen. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm all out of order here because a lot of people weighed in, right? And so Dan McLaughlin said, "This is typically not what you tweet when you're winning an argument." And she immediately shot back, "It is when you're dealing with a needle dick who calls you the devil. Trust me." And so it was just getting so ugly. And I think the next screenshot is when he shot back. Yes, read his first.
Okay. Now, do you want me to read it like Mark Levin or just in my regular
Yes.
voice? Okay. I don't have glasses on, but picture I have glasses on.
Okay.
Poor Megyn Kelly. An emotionally unhinged, lewd, and petulant wreck. She's completely revealed and destroyed herself. She's everything people say she is, but much worse. Never an intelligent, thoughtful, or substantive comment. Utterly toxic.
I feel like you need a little more, like if you hold your nose, you'll get a little more of that nasal tone of his.
My motivation is the guy from Office Space. I've got people skills. I work with people. Why can't you understand that? Like, I swear to God, that's Mark Levin. That's the same person. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And it is why I listen, I'm not a huge Mark Levin fan unless I'm reading what he writes. Okay. Like I very much enjoy reading, do not enjoy listening. So Megyn just kept doubling down and she said, "Micro penis Mark thinks he has the monopoly on lewd. He tweets about me obsessively in the crudest, nastiest terms possible, literally more than some stalkers I've had arrested. He doesn't like it when women like me fight back because of his micro penis." Again, really focusing on his genitalia and going after anybody who came after her. So like, I don't even know who this account is. Fitz News said, discourse. And she was like, "Yeah, it's really gone downhill thanks to Mark Levin. Please direct me to your post calling out the dozens of personal attacks Levin has launched on me. I'll wait." And it got even uglier. I think it is John. Let's see. John Root said, "You just proved his point that you are emotionally unhinged, lewd, and childish with this response. This is fighting back? Yikes." And she said, walk me through it, John. How many times should I allow him to attack me in the nastiest, most personal and vile ways possible and say nothing? Did you condemn him for the multiple personal attacks on me? Show me. I'll wait. And he said, I'm not saying you should say nothing. I'm saying the wise thing to do is not resorting to crude and emotionally unhinged responses. The wise thing is not repaying evil for evil. And she said, please show me where you lectured Mark Levin on his crude personal attacks against me. Just want to make sure I'm dealing with someone who really does abhor these kinds of attacks, no matter from whom they originate. I'm sure that's you, right, John? Which is super interesting because everyone has been asking her to defend Erica Kirk against attacks from Candace. And now she's all of a sudden like, why isn't anyone defending me? You know what I mean? And it's like, do you not have even a shred of self-awareness, even just one shred?
Am I in the minority that I don't like any of these people?
No, you're not. No, not at all.
Am I a horrible person that I've never been a big Mark Levin guy? I think a lot of his anger and rage is a bit that he uses on television to try to get people fired up. And I think it's all staged. And Megyn Kelly, again, never really been my favorite. She's done some good things. She's done some bad things. I will agree that I think it's fine for her to fight back. If Mark Levin's going to try to be Johnny Tough Guy to her, I'm fine with her fighting back. If she wants to say micro penis or whatever, nicknames are catchy. I mean, let's be honest. Nicknames are catchy. We still call Ted Cruz Lion Ted, right? Nicknames are catchy. And if micro penis Mark Levin catches on, she's done everything right. But if you're Mark Levin, this is kind of like the double standard. If Mark Levin comes out and goes, pancake tits Megyn Kelly, not at Megyn Kelly, he's going to be labeled a sexist. He's going to be the bad guy when all he's doing is fighting back too. So that's why I hate all of these people.
I know. It's just, I can't even believe that we're having this conversation about these people specifically in this fight, because it is so down and dirty and just not who I thought they were. You know what I mean? Like this, they are better than this. And that's why it's just so surprising to see this happening. But go ahead and read Mark's response.
Here, I'll try to be more nasally.
All right, here we go.
Busy Sunday morning for Megyn Kelly. She wakes up and has micro P is on her mind. Suffice to say, if it talks like a harlot and it posts like a harlot, it's well, we know the rest. Shalom.
Oh my God. It's just, it got so ridiculous. More people weighed in saying she's absolutely lost it. She kept responding to just random people on Twitter who were like, what? Have you been hacked? Like, what is going on? And she just kept responding and defending herself. There was one person, actually, MK, who said, are you asking people to start to step up and protect you from personal attacks? I thought that you said the best tool was to not bring attention to it. Somehow that's what you prefer to do for Erica via Candace. But when you're attacked, people should stand up. And she defended that somehow by saying, no, just don't lecture me on internet decorum when you had nothing to say when the attacks were on me, as opposed to me defending myself. Got it now? Read it again. You'll get there. I've read it several times and I still don't get it. Like, I don't get how she can be this hypocritical. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But then, wouldn't you know it, Trump weighed in. And so Trump came to the defense of Mark Levin. I would like you to read his 2-page diatribe about this, please.
Okay, I'm not going to do this in a Trump voice because my
okay.
Trump's terrible.
That's okay.
Mark Levin, a truly great American patriot, is somewhat under siege by other people with far less intellect, capability, and love for our country. Mark is tough, strong, and brilliant, hence the nickname The Great One, all in caps. Convinced by our MAGA friend, the wonderful Sean Hannity, after years of dealing with Mark in legal, media, and other capacities. Mark would often do Sean's show, speaking as a lawyer, and Sean realized then, as did others, that he was special. Mark Levin was not looking to do television, radio, or anything else. Bullshit. But he was drafted by very smart people who understood there are few like him. He's a true conservative and an intellect, far smarter than those who criticize him, but above all, he's a man of great wisdom, common sense, who truly loves our country. When you hear others unfairly attack Mark, remember they are jealous, angry human beings who sway is much less than the public understands and will, now that they know where I stand, rapidly diminish. Other than his wonderful wife and family, Mark Levin only cares and wants one thing: greatness and success for America. Those that speak ill of Mark will quickly fall by the wayside, as do people whose ideas, policies, and footings are not sound. All caps again. They're not MAGA. I am. And MAGA includes not allowing Iran, a sick, demented, and violent terrorist regime, to have a nuclear weapon to blow up the United States of America, the Middle East, and ultimately the rest of the world. MAGA is about stopping them cold, and that's exactly what we're doing. God bless our great military, which I have rebuilt since the beginning of my first term to achieve everlasting peace through strength. Make America great again. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And scene.
And scene. So that was where everything sort of wrapped up yesterday. And I thought, okay, well, maybe now that Trump has weighed in, like maybe this will kind of calm down. And then a half an hour before we went live, I saw that Megyn, bright and early this morning, was like, I need to keep this fight going. And so here is her tweet from this morning. She said, "Micro penis Mark is such a small man, he had to go beg the president for a pat on the head in the middle of a war to make himself feel better about, well, you know, this after one mean tweet about him following his 111 nasty, nonstop personal misogynistic attacks on me. Fox has an obsessed harasser on its hands. Just like all feckless, weakling bullies, Micro can dish it out, but he can't take it. After just one post putting the so-called great one in his place, he ran crying to daddy."
That's strong. I'm not going to lie. Megyn Kelly is winning this Twitter feud. I'm not saying that I side with Megyn and her points of view. I'm just saying in a trash talk competition, if this were an 8 Mile style rap off, Eminem, against Papa Doc, B Rabbit against Papa Doc. Right now, Megyn Kelly is Eminem. She is destroying Mark Levin. That is such a strong trash talking tweet. Like, that is so good. That's like when Ice Cube came out with no Vaseline when he left NWA. Like, it's going to be hard for anybody to come back from that.
Oh my God, I hate this. I hate it so much. Do you know how much I loved her? Like, I loved her. And she's just...
Mark Levin went to Cranebrook. That's a private school. That's what's coming up next. We're going to get that 8 Mile B-Rabbit rap, and it's going to be beautiful.
All right. Well, we always like to close out our show with some fun things. After all of the drama and all of
micro penis talk wasn't fun.
Right, that's true.
Pancake tits and micro penis, that wasn't fun enough.
Well, that was fun, but this is fun in a different way. This is a little more trivial. This is a little more frivolous. And we're going to start out. I tried to find clips that you would appreciate, that at least one was related to sports. So this may be a sport that you know nothing about, or perhaps you do. I don't know. Do you know anything about snowboarding?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, this will be interesting then. This is a video that is making fun of the way that sports commentators talk about sports. And so you're going to hear a very distinguished sounding commentator walking through what's happening in a snowboarding competition. I loved this.
Whitlock on the curtain rail, hoping for a full colon. Quilted wrists, folds like a crepe. Semi-detached bungalow. Cinnamon opinion, ankles. Oh. Luxury balloon vol-au-vent and a custard cream, nice hors d'oeuvre, let down with a biscuit. Fantastic composure on the dingus, Eskimo in a kayak. Buttery palms, really easing him into a lobster bisque. Chin hammock, hands akimbo. Wagamamas, fistful of jam pots, bit light on the chutney, sweet chili, no parking. Really testing the durability of his Spanx there. Winding up for a spooky bassoon. There's the colon. 16 hamsters. Called them all Dave. Anus down, lips to the floor. Shout at your nan. What a Tuesday.
Awesome.
That is what it all sounds like to me.
Spooky Batoon sounds like something you'd find on the Urban Dictionary. Yeah, I took that chick home the other night. I didn't want to brag, but I gave her the old Spooky Batoon.
I just love that there was like a lobster bisque reference. Just everything about that. I was dying. Do you follow a guy on, well, he's probably everywhere, but his name is Brandon Russo, and he makes fun of just some of the most horrible people on the internet.
Yes.
He is amazing. And so we've got just a couple clips from him. One where he's making fun of just this absolute freak. You're going to see the freak first. Just wait for the good part.
If you're looking to be more COVID cautious in 2026, you have found the right guy. My name is Radical. My pronouns are he, they, and I am a queer, trans, and disabled sex and relationships educator, disability advocate, and overall.
Oh my God, shut up. That is a lot of words to just say I don't have a job.
I love him. So, and there's no one that's safe from his criticism. And so here's another example.
All right, everybody, let's listen to her story.
I have another story for you. You know I have stories for days. PTSD moment. On the way to the gym yesterday.
All right, I can't even pay attention to the story because I'm trying to figure out why your face and your chest and arms are different races.
I love him. I love him. That's Brendan
There
Russo.
seems like there's some spray tan, there's a tanning bed, there's a lotion, maybe some
That chick,
t-shirt.
oh my
I
God,
don't know
she
what that
had
was.
12 pounds of foundation or whatever. That was extraordinary. Like that's a lot.
Imagine waking up, like you take her home from the bar and you think, oh, it's dark. I've had a few shots. I've done worse. They can't all be 10s. So you take her home and, you take her to Pound Town. You wake up the next day and then she rolls over and looks at you with that face that looks like a sea donkey.
Oh my gosh. Before I forget, because I do need to read a couple of our thank yous and our super chats here before we close out. But before I forget, I want to make sure that people know how to find you, because I have a feeling that after today and after the rest of the week, they are going to want to hear more from Jason Hammer. So tell us all the places.
Mock's Old Stomping Grounds. It's a radio station in Indianapolis, 93.1 WIBC. I'm part of the Hammer and Nigel show. We've been named Best in America. We've also been named number 2 in America, which sucks. But check out the show. It's a lot like what Mock and I are doing here today. If there's a time to be serious, we will. If there's a time to have a lot of fun, we're going to do that. We like to have as much fun as we can when the news cycle allows that. So you can stream it anywhere across the country from WIBC's website. Just look for Hammer and Nigel. And yes, Hammer is my real last name. It sounds like a porn star or a wrestler name, but my real name, that's it in all its glory. Thank you.
All right. So if you haven't yet left a review for us on the Apple Podcast platform, we sure would appreciate it. As you know, you guys came out in force as soon as I asked for the first time. And now we're just trying to get through reading all of them. We want to give everybody credit. We had a couple, one from Jerk on the Right, who said, love the show. Love hearing your opinion on all the latest news and gossip. And then also, from Gabby248, she said, news with a twist. Love this podcast. All the current events in small bites. So grab a cup of coffee and chat with the chicks. Great community that builds each other up. And then over on PayPal from Gypsy Princess Products, she said, look up Philip Haney, my eyes are bad, Balls, founding member of DHS in 2003, a terrorism analyst. He blew the whistle on how the government was suppressing info about Islamic terrorists in the U.S., found dead, quote unquote, in his car in 2020, gunshot, was about to release a second book naming names. He was featured by Brannon Howes at Worldview Tube in the documentary Sabotage, talking all about the Islamist threat to the U.S. and how so many terror attacks in the U.S. could have been prevented if the government had listened to him instead of deleting his reports. So that is an interesting little tidbit. From Michelle Rolfo, Michelle said, since you enjoyed the cadaver otters, this is from last week, I thought you might enjoy guard dolphins. When my son was in the Navy, he worked in harbor patrol, and they had trained guard dolphins who worked as underwater security. They could detect mines, unauthorized swimmers, or objects in the water. There are videos on YouTube that you can watch. It's very cool. That's amazing.
Cadaver otters, by the way, you put a little seasoning on there, you put it on the Traeger, fantastic.
Don't
let it
dare.
simmer at 350 for just about 20 minutes. Mwah.
That is the meanest thing you've ever said on this program. Margaret Benhamu said, you ladies make my day as usual. Outraged New Yorker here, and you guys are as outraged as I am. Here is your next installment of $7,000. Relax, Megyn. We are only kidding, she said. Over on Locals today, Holloway 0923 said, Republicans don't message. It's why we lose. Democrats' messaging is flat out lying, and there is no counter messaging by Republicans telling the truth. It is ridiculous. And then here on YouTube, Marcy Perales. Marcy, thank you. She says, good morning. Happy Monday. Have a wonderful day. Much love. Supernova says, it's official. I have my 2 new dogs. I kept their names. Alfie is a 2-year-old Jack Russell, and Chester is a 3-year-old Westie. I call Chester Cheddar. Plot twist, I'm actually Piss Fingers because Alfie peed on my hand. Chaos rules. Piss Fingers is the name of this. We did a joke about it, like where shelters will say, we've got a 19-year-old dog named Piss Fingers here who is allergic to electricity and grass and air. And if you want him, come stop by our shelter, whatever. And so now the joke is Piss Fingers is the best name for a dog. Brian Brumley said, if you watched the local news out of Cincy last night, you would think Iran is winning and they weren't too upset about it. Yeah, that's the problem with the mainstream news. Marcy Perales says, welcome, Jason. Thanks so much for filling Daisy's huge shoes. We appreciate you being here and are enjoying your commentary. Aww. Supernova says, thank you for filling in, MC Hammer Pants. You're funny. Shelly Bolton says, good morning, Jason. Thanks for filling in. Many of us would be in withdrawal if we didn't get our chicks fix. For anyone who hasn't done so yet, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe too. Thank you guys so much for giving people those reminders. Aranerm says, if the NSA monitored Tucker Al-Abbas bin Mohammed, we talked with people in Iran, they had a warrant. He's a U.S. person with Fourth Amendment rights they won't violate. Just take my eavesdrop money. Kel Keto 2046 says, good morning, Monday morning from all of Florida. This just loving Mock and Jason, aka Trans Daisy, this morning. And happy birthday to me. God bless and love you. Happy birthday. Brian Brumley says, speaking of Israel media is reporting that Trump has intel that the new Ayatollah is gay. Where's Simon Nijal when you need him? Supernova says, MK is envious because her micro penis is non-existent. And Renee Stillabauer 2225 says, just when I thought I couldn't love the show more, Hammer shows up. Great show. Love you both. Thank you so much.
I'm just happy you didn't put micro penis on my nameplate right there.
Ooh,
I'm
so
thankful that you didn't put that on there. Although that's low key, that's how you exceed expectations. If everybody expects you to have a micro penis and you whip out a big hog, she's gonna be like, oh wow, I didn't expect to see that, because you don't want to set the bar too high. You tell everybody you're Shaq and then I whip out what I've got. Nobody's gonna be impressed by that.
Oh my gosh. I've loved having you on today. Loved it. It's going to be great all week long. I do have a couple of people to thank for gifts that they sent in the mail. First from Marcus Drake, who sent this really crazy fidget spinner because he knows I like the weird fidget spinnery things. Shelly Eppington, thank you so much for the Starbucks gift card. And Melissa Sigler, thank you for the hat and the book. Appreciate all of you guys so much. Again, Jason's going to be back with me for the rest of the week while Daisy's enjoying her spring break in a rainy Hawaii, but it's Hawaii nonetheless. So right. I don't feel sorry for her.
Thank you for having me, by the way. I appreciate the invite. For those who don't know, I've known Mock and Daisy for a long time. We used to work at the same radio station together, stayed in touch with these ladies, and I'm so proud of the work you have done with this show and the way you've grown it, and keep kicking ass. And I'm honored to be here to bring a poop joke perspective to this program.
I gotta love it. That's why this week is going to be so much fun. Make sure to come back normal time for the rest of the week. Thanks, you guys. And we will talk to you tomorrow.
Hello, beautiful people. This is the Chicks on the Right's Indian correspondent. Thank you for watching or listening. Be very sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on all of their delicious content. Okay, thank you. Come again.